Hey, I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions, here with my uncut review of Heart of Stone. Let's see here. The synopsis on IMDb reads, an intelligence operative for a shadowy global peacekeeping agency races to stop a hacker from stealing its most valuable and dangerous weapon. I should share a little bit more. Basically, the Charter is the name of this shadowy good guy spy organization that is like way cooler and way better than regular spies. In fact, man, I can only imagine that if someone that's part of the British intelligence agency or community watched this, that they would be offended at how very unskilled and civilian-like the MI6 team is in this movie. Anyway, but the Charter, this super elite organization that's not affiliated with any particular government or have any political leanings or anything, they're just trying to save lives. They use the Heart, which is a sci-fi level advanced AI, to predict threats and then break through any cybersecurity in the world in order to stop those threats. And the field agents basically do the groundwork that the Heart can't do itself. But then a rogue agent wants to steal the Heart for his revenge scheme, and the Charter, led by Chief Field Agent Rebecca Stone, played by Gal Gadot, must stop them and keep the Heart and the world safe. Now, there's definitely, I mean, when it comes to spy stuff, you could go with the Tom Clancy. Well, maybe Tom Clancy isn't the best comparison because it's getting more unrealistic in some things that have that stamp on it. But you know what I mean. You can have that really grounded, realistic kind of espionage, spy, CIA type stuff. Or you can have the stuff that gets into like James Bond territory. Of course, that there's a spectrum there as well. But basically, this is sci-fi spy stuff. There's holograms without having any kind of augmented reality interface, and AR spy tech HUDs that look overly stylized and even video gamey in design in terms of what the user is seeing. So it's basically like a spy story that takes place in a comic book world. I mean, there's no superheroes in this story, but I mean, it's that level of believability in its technology. The dialogue also has a bit of a cliche to it throughout, and the lines given to Godot, especially the punchlines, sometimes feel too wordy and unnatural. Part of that, I think, is just because I would assume that someone they don't roll off her tongue. Part of it is the accent, I think. I think it would work better for me if her punchlines and stuff were a little bit more punchy, a little bit more short and abbreviated. There was, I gotta say though, one shocking twist in the story that really took me off guard, and for 30 seconds, I loved this movie for it. But that passed very quickly. Finally, the villain's revenge motive at first seems like it would lend moral complexity to the movie, and in spy-type stories, I think that's a really valuable thing to have. Paranoia, moral complexity, but by the end, the villain was just so obviously unreasonably evil that I didn't feel for him or his situation at all, and I think that was a big missed opportunity. As far as cast and performances, I'm really just going to focus on Gal Gadot. I've maybe seen one movie that she appeared in not as Wonder Woman, so my sense of her acting ability, her range, is very limited, and this movie didn't broaden it much. While definitely more relaxed than Wonder Woman as a character, Rebecca Stone is basically still a serious hero character, without any interesting quirks or facets in her behavior. In fact, I'd say she's significantly less interesting than Diana. Much like I felt about Angelina Jolie in the past, I still, with Godot, think that she doesn't have the body type to convince me her character can realistically prevail in melee and brawls with men who are twice her weight in muscle and could throw their weight around. And as Wonder Woman, you know, her strength is at least supernatural, and Snyder's camera work also, I think, helps a lot, but here there's one scene where she is objectified in a swimsuit, and so I got to look at her limbs, and I was just like, yeah, her limbs just do not have the muscle to sell me on her character concept. But at least her arms and legs are covered in all of the action scenes, and there's some obvious stunt double substitution that I think helps in that regard. Even so, I don't think action hero is the best type of role for her. As far as stunts and visuals, the visual effects were just TV quality, I think. And really that was one of the biggest problems with my experience, mainly because they were used to do things that largely could have been done practically. I've never seen a cyborg space dragon in the real world. I've never seen pulse rifle fire in the real world. So when I see those things in movies, they don't nearly to the same degree read as unrealistic to me. But I know what most of the effects moments in this movie look like practically because I've seen them done practically, or very similar shots to them done practically in other movies. And so it just kind of took me out of the movie, lowered the stakes to about nothing. Granted, visual effects often look more fake to me than to other viewers, but in those cases, there can still be a way that they make it work for me. Zack Snyder would be a good example of that. Lots of visual effects in many of his movies, but he's a heavily artistic director. And so directors like that, there are a number of them out there that really have a stylistic way of presenting stories. That style, in terms of how the camera is used, how the story is presented visually through the, kind of cool editing that they might do, those kinds of things can make up for the deficiency in visual realism and kind of engage me in that way instead. But Heart of Stone doesn't lean into cinematic style or editing creativity and things like that. Okay, as far as themes, is there anything of moral, philosophical, or spiritual significance in the themes of this thing that might trigger some worthwhile thought or conversation? I think so. I think it's unlikely to be something that stands out to most viewers, but to me, I noticed that there's this theme of remembering and valuing the individuals around you as you pursue a greater good that's kind of for a large theoretical group of people, like saving the world. While you're saving the world, don't forget about the individuals that are actually right around you. The Charter as an organization is all about saving lives, and I think in one sense it makes sense because they're like, okay, we don't have any political leanings, but what's one thing that everyone can, for the most part, agree on? It's that human life is valuable, and so we're just going to try and save lives and treat it like simple math, do whatever it takes to save lives. But along the way, the lives that are closest to the operatives in the field are not necessarily valued by a number of characters. And that really hits home for me, looking back on my time as a worship pastor many years ago and my early years of the ministry I'm doing now. I, in both cases, had vision and good vision to reach people for Christ, to help people grow as believers, but those people, in my mind, were a bit too theoretical. And as a result, I missed opportunities to be more caring to actual individuals that are around me. I feel like there was a wake-up call that I had a number of years ago where God was kind of impressing on my mind, Peter, you keep thinking about the people that you're going to reach. These people, and then specific names came to my mind. And I imagine in that moment that God was, in a sense, saying, Peter, these are the people right now. So stop looking out the horizon and look right around you at the people that are within arm's reach, whose names you know, who you can have some kind of a blessing you can be kind of a blessing in their lives. So as we pursue ambitious goals in service, in ministry, in different kinds of contexts, for people, I've learned and was reminded in this movie, it's so vital that we first prioritize the individuals who are actually presently within our reach. Okay, I have no idea what your tastes are in movies, but if I were a time traveler, I'd go back in time and say, Peter, skip. There's going to need to be a lot more going on Netflix that you want to watch in order to justify, you know what? No, just skip it. It's just not interesting. There's many more enjoyable things to watch. Heart of Stone, rated PG-13 for sequences of violence and action and some language. Those are all my thoughts on the movie for now. Right now, I'd like to take some time to write a tune for pre-made rhyme. The lyrics kind of never change, but the melody gets rearranged. I never know what I'll create to say how much I appreciate. Appreciate. A little bit of variance there would be nice. Dan Axel, Gabriel Stinson, Brian Franklin, Olin D. Branham, Winston Crutchfield, Lee Bray, Justin D. Myers, Joel Nelson, and Scruffosaurus. Thank you for supporting me and SPP and CGC. And now to all who hear this tune, thank you as well. Please come back soon. Wanna hear your name in song? Check out our page on Patreon. All right, I'd love to get your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. Maybe not to that weirdness, but anything else, would love to get your reactions to. Please like, share, subscribe, click that bell to stay connected. I want to thank the Spirit Blade Insiders for making this review possible. You can get info about the benefits of joining over at patreon.com/Spirit Productions. Then I hope you'll check out our podcast and stay connected to all CGC content over at christiangeekcentral.com as we continue to geek out and seek the truth. For more chat about geek entertainment, answers to your questions, and news from the wider world of Christian geekery, get the Christian Geek Central podcast today on iTunes and other podcast services.